what we're doing here is we're using fraction plates to teach simple fractions. What I'm first going to show you is how to make the fraction plates. This is what they look like when they're completed. They're real simple to make. All you do is you might want to draw a little dot in the center of the plate, cut to that dot, and that's all it is. You do it on 2 plates. Slide them in together, and then there you have it. They're real simple to make. Then they can slide back and forth to represent different fractions. What I'm going to show you real quick is how to practice with a few different ones. First one we'll start off with would be a fourth. We'll consider the yellow to be our fraction. So right there you'd make, it wouldn't have to be precise, just need to look about like a fourth. So there would be one. You can do stuff like a half. That one would be a little easier to see. You can do things like 3/4. Again, we'd be using the yellow to represent the fraction. You can do things like a third. And then some of these are a little harder to see exactly. They don't have to be precise. The more accurate, the better. However, a lot of these you can tell by just looking at the fraction. You can do other things like something a little smaller, like an eighth, or you can do different things like maybe 2/3. And again, we'll be having the yellow represent our fraction. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to do a few problems to show how to use these fraction plates. The first problem we're going to do would be 1/2 plus 1/4. I think it's easier to, I'm going to use this as the 1/2 and this as the 1/4 and then put the equals on this big plate. I think it's easier to start with a bigger fraction and then add the smaller fraction. So our first fraction would be 1/2, and we're going to use the red as our fraction part. So we've got 1/2 plus 1/4, and then students can look at this and visualize so they could see, well, we've got the 1/2 here, and if we added a 1/4 here, so then they can go through and look at their plate and kind of add it on here, and you'll be able to see, they'll be able to look and see, oh, I've got 3/4. And this would be really good to use with a lot of the younger grades, students who are just starting out with fractions, students who are done, who don't have much of other than a real basic concept of fractions. I'll do a second one. Do 1/3 plus 1/3. So again, the red is going to equal our 2 fractions. So students will be able to look at this and see we've got a 1/3 here and a 1/3 here, and they can kind of visualize in their mind what would happen if we put the other 1/3 here, so they can use this bigger plate and go ahead and do that. We're going to have the yellow again represent our fraction. So they leave a third out, and they can kind of see that would be 2/3. Another fraction we'll go ahead and do would be a 1/4 plus a 1/4. So we'll go ahead and put our 1/4 in. And we have another 1/4. Students can go ahead and look. They can visualize putting another 1/4 on here. And if they go ahead and do that, again, we use the yellow as our fraction. We've got 1/4 plus a 1/4, so we'd have a 1/2. So it'd be so students will be able to look at it and can tell what fraction they're going to have. Another one we'll go ahead and do would be a 1/2 plus another 1/2. And then students can visualize if they put the reds together, and then go ahead and do it. And of course that would equal a whole, and then that would be a good way for students to kind of practice using whole numbers and fractions, or getting familiar with the concept of a whole and a fraction. Another one we're going to do, this one might be a little harder for students to see. We're going to do an 1/8 again, these don't have to be, I mean, they won't be 100% precise, but they need to look fairly accurate. So students can see we've got an eighth here and an eighth here, and then go ahead and use their plate. Start out with an eighth. Then if we went ahead and added another eighth, they can kind of look at it and see we've got a fourth. And then the final fraction we're going to do is we're going to use 2/3. Go ahead and use 2/3 plus a third. Students will be able to look at this and they can almost see that, well, if I could put this 1/3 right in here and it'd give me a whole. So again, they use their third plate and they'd see that again they have a whole. And this, like I said again, would just be a good way to incorporate students using fractions and fractions equaling to a whole number. And then that would be it.